This week, a Russian double agent was targeted with an assassination attempt in the UK. Sergei Skripal is a former Russian military intelligence officer who was recruited by the British secret intelligence agency MI6 in the mid-1990s and worked as a double agent for Russia and the UK for nearly 10 years, until 2004, when Skripal was eventually discovered to be working for MI6 and was arrested and charged with high treason in Russia and sentenced to 13 years in prison for allegedly exposing hundreds of undercover Russian agents around the world. In 2010, Skripal was part of a spy exchange between Russia and the United States, where Skripal was one of 4 prisoners Russia exchanged for 10 deep-cover Russian spies in the U.S. After the exchange, Skripal moved to England under the protection of British intelligence. The former spy was found unconscious on a park bench with his daughter, both of whom were the victims of an assassination attempt with a deadly nerve agent. Reports indicate that up to 21 people were treated for possible exposure to the nerve agent, 3 in critical condition, 2 of which are the Skripals and 1 police detective. The British government deployed the military to assist in the cleanup and in the investigation. According to reports, traces of the deadly nerve agent were found in a restaurant and a pub that the victims visited, but the former police chief has hinted the nerve agent was in the home of the victim, as the detective who was severely injured by the nerve agent had been inside the residence. At this time, British authorities have stated that they have determined what the nerve agent is, but have yet to release this information to the public. British authorities have also stated they believe that this was a state-sponsored attack. Although they have not named the government suspected to be responsible, there is a lot of speculation and even some threats that Russia is behind the assassination attempt that took place just outside of London. British authorities have said there will be consequences, and there has already been calls for Putin's arrest if Russia is found to be responsible. But why would Russia, after releasing the spy, wait all these years to assassinate him? According to several media reports, the reason is because Russia is a brutal regime that is known for being vengeful.
They can't assume that anyone is going to be loyal. And so the only way that Putin can assure loyalty is to absolutely viciously and completely punish disloyalty, no matter where and when and how. And so he has to create an incentive, a terrible incentive, so that everybody else around says, you know, if I in any way veer off the track, do what this guy did, then terrible things are going to befall me in the way that it's done to him.
Now, this explanation that Putin is hell-bent on revenge and would risk a major international incident at a time of extreme anti-Russian campaigns by the Western media and many Western governments does not make much sense. Even if the reports suggesting that Skripal was still meeting with his MI6 handler on a monthly basis are true, he would likely remain a low-value target for Russia, having been out of the game for several years. Now, this poison case of a former spy has been compared to the 2006 assassination of another double agent, a Russian spy who worked for the British intelligence who was also assassinated in the UK. Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned to death with radioactive polonium. That case, like this one, remains unsolved, although the British government blamed Russia for the assassination. The Russian government has responded to the accusations in both cases, denying any involvement. The Russian embassy in the UK recently tweeted, "What a coincidence. Both Litvinenko and Skripal worked for MI6. Berezovsky and Parapolichny were linked to UK special services. Investigation details classified on grounds of national security." Now, all of the Russian men mentioned in this tweet have a few things in common. They all worked with British intelligence, and 3 of the men allegedly worked with the same MI6 agent who is said to have recruited these men. And now they are all dead. Now, what the media has failed to mention is that the assassination attempt using a chemical weapon, specifically a nerve agent, was carried out just 5 miles away from the largest stock of nerve agent in Western Europe, at Porton Down, which houses the UK's Defence Science and Technology Laboratory for the Ministry of Defence, which manufactures nerve agents for, quote, research purposes. While there is little doubt that this was a state-sponsored assassination attempt, the question remains, which state is responsible? Was it a case of Putin's revenge, as the media and the British government have suggested? Or is it an operation to frame Russia to further demonize them, as Russia is currently being blamed for virtually everything nowadays? Now go to newsbud.com and join the discussion. The Newsbud is only funded through your donations and subscriptions, and we really do count on your support to make what we do here possible. A monthly subscription costs practically nothing and will provide you with full access to all the amazing content our distinguished team of experts produce on a daily basis. Let's take a quick look at what Newsbud subscribers got just in the last week of their subscription. Our Russia expert breaks down the radical increase of political tensions in Eastern Europe that no one is talking about, which could lead to war. Our China expert examines the accusations President Trump is in China's pocket. Our financial expert deconstructs the latest and significant cryptocurrency campaign to challenge U.S. dollar and petrodollar hegemony. But first, this week, Newsbud's Tales from the Russian Intelligence, hosted by Professor Kovacevic, was back in a big way, as Professor Kovacevic delivers one of his best, most interesting, and powerful reports to date on obscure and controversial topics. The professor covers a book that was recently written by a high-level four-star Russian general, who is currently one of the best-known geopolitical commentators in Russia. In this book, which is written in Russian, the general makes some claims about secret technologies, the mysteries of the esoteric, highly sought-after secrets in Antarctica, and the escape of Hitler from Germany, and much more.
Now, this does sound like the stuff of a science fiction novel, and one would hardly give it a second thought were it not written by a highly respected Russian general and a popular geopolitical commentator.
This is the first time the information in this highly controversial book is being examined and discussed in English, and Professor Kovacevic even translates some of these Russian intelligence documents verbatim. This is by far our most popular post at newsbud.com right now, and the full must-see 28-minute report is exclusively available at newsbud.com for members. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo on demand. Now, Newsbud is very proud to have Professor Kovacevic, who is respected throughout the world as one of our senior producers and analysts here at Newsbud. And we just released for the first time on DVD Professor Kovacevic's course, The Foundations of Anglo-American and Russian Geopolitics, produced by the Newsbud Academy. This is a one-of-a-kind graduate-level geopolitical course that Professor Kovacevic literally spent years to put together, and it's available right now exclusively at newsbud.com. Much of the material has never been covered in English before, and we will leave a link in the description, so make sure you watch the trailer, as this is a must-have for everyone's DVD collection, especially those of you who are interested in geopolitics and the framework that shapes our world today. And when you purchase the DVDs or subscribe to Newsbud or rent our videos on Vimeo, you are supporting real independent media, and we are counting on all of you for your support, so go to newsbud.com now. If you have turned on the news lately, whether it's the mainstream corporate channels or the alternative, everyone is still talking about the recent school mass shooting in Florida, which of course is a tragic incident that we condemn. These events are always followed by massive calls for gun control, but what everyone turns a blind eye to and no one is talking about is who is the biggest purveyor of violence as a whole. Any guesses? Well, it's the state. This is known as democide. This week on Newsbud's Geopolitical Report with Kurt Nimmo, Nimmo exposes that very thing. In this Newsbud exclusive, Nimmo documents the atrocities committed by governments throughout history, with the United States leading the way in modern times, responsible for the death of tens of millions of people, making many dictators that have been demonized by the media look like amateurs in comparison. When will people denounce and take action with the same compassion and will, demanding that something be done to stop the greatest mass murderers in history?
Students protesting so-called gun violence should consider their fate if the United States indeed gets into it with China, Russia, or even North Korea. A major war will require a fresh influx of young bodies. Conscription, state-mandated slavery, will be a necessity. Any such conflict will make the death toll of any number of school shootings look like a garden party. These children haven't learned the truth about the horrific toll of U.S. interventions since the end of the Second World War.
This is a must-see video report by Kurt Nimmo, and the full video is exclusively available for members at newsbud.com. Non-members can watch it now at Newsbud Vimeo on demand. Newsbud also just released an exclusive report from Kurt Nimmo this week titled "The Deep State Killed John Lennon." This is a must-see report that examines the assassination of John Lennon. Find out how the government and its agencies have been targeting and silencing anti-war activists for decades, enforcing the ultimate form of censorship: murder. The full video is available right now for everyone on Newsbud's YouTube channel. Each week on Newsbud's Russian Newspaper Monitor, Professor Kovacevic deconstructs the headlines in the Russian newspapers while providing expert analysis. In this week's episode, Professor Kovacevic examines the radical increase of political tensions in Moldova that may escalate into a violent conflict in the form of a civil war, as Russia and Turkey may team up to counter NATO and Western covert attempts to fan the flames. Professor Kovacevic also breaks down the current state of the Russian economy, asking if the numbers are being skewed as Russia heads to its presidential elections. Also, find out about Russia's own military-industrial complex and much more. Now, this is must-see news and analysis you will not find anywhere but newsbud.com, so be sure to become a member today. And if you want to preview our work, check us out at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. This week, one of Newsbud's military experts and veterans wrote an exclusive report exposing U.S. foreign military sales from January and February 2018 that will make your head spin, as billions of your tax dollars are feeding into the war machine. These are one-of-a-kind reports, and you will not find anything like them online. They are available right now exclusively for members at newsbud.com. This week on Newsbud's China Watch, Peter Lee breaks down the current situation between the U.S. and China, as Trump appears to be drifting away from the anti-China playbook echoed by the China hawks. And this is raising some serious questions and even some serious accusations from those China hawks, and even the media, which are accusing Trump of being on China's payroll, as President Trump jokes about following China's lead and ending presidential term limits here in the United States. Newsbud's China expert will deconstruct all of this and get you up to speed each and every week on China Watch. The full video is available right now for members at newsbud.com. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. This week on Newsbud's Money and Fear, our financial expert Pi Ian covers the current economic crisis facing Venezuela as the conditions for many become more desperate with each passing day. Find out about Venezuela's new efforts to counter the Western sanctions that have placed a stranglehold on the country, as they just launched their own oil and gold-backed cryptocurrency, as many other nations closely watch. Newsbud's financial expert examines some critical information, including how are cryptocurrencies supposed to be decentralized when they are launched by the state, the challenges the dollar and the petrodollar system are facing, economic warfare, and much more in this jam-packed episode of Newsbud's Money and Fear, exclusively available for members at newsbud.com. Non-members, Vimeo On Demand is your ticket. This week, Kurt Nimmo wrote an exclusive article for Newsbud titled, "Trump's Generals Prepare Final Plans to Take Out Syria." I think we all know at this point that the U.S. and its allies have no plans for peace in the Middle East as the war drums continue to pound. So does the pro-war propaganda, as the Western rhetoric appears to be setting the stage for an event that would justify, in the eyes of the imperialist warmongers, an excuse to attack Syria and ignite a massive war that would very likely not be contained to Syria's borders. This is a must-read article and it's available for members at newsbud.com. Newsbud also offers our own aggregated news, and we call it Sibel's Picks. It's the best source for aggregated news online. Newsbud's founder and editor Sibel Edmonds handpicks each story herself, and you get about 90 links a week of the most important and blacked out stories. Now, if you're not already a member at newsbud.com, why not join today and give us a shot? There is no obligation or contract, and it costs practically nothing. Plus, when you subscribe, you are supporting this independent news organization, which will provide you access to hundreds of videos and articles exclusively produced by newsbud.com. From all of us here at Newsbud, thank you for your support, and stay tuned for next week's lineup.